briefly touched upon in my dev highlight video, as well as talked about in the very same dev stream, they did mention some updates coming to armor in the next generation version. This will be coming, I assume, sometime during Frontiers, which seems like a long way away, because a lot of these changes actually sound quite good. But of course, we will just have to wait until the future comes to figure out what exactly is going to become of it. So the TLDR right now is that armor will be more active as a part of this development. Stats will be reworked to be more impactful, less confusing, and less constraining, as well as the introduction of set bonuses to give individual armor sets more unique identities, which, if you don't know, set bonuses do exist, but they're mostly restricted to seasonal content and rep or otherwise currency, which is not at all worth it. I've never needed it and never used it. But moving on. So right now, the problem. In the years since the last major update of Shadowkeep's Armor 2.0, armor has settled into a very relatively static part of the reward story. Once you have the right stat rolls, there's very little else to look forward to. And the intricate balance of stat values has a lock-in effect that makes it hard to want to swap anything away. For armor to be exciting again, it needs some unique properties. So, the solution, rework stat mechanics. Now, I took a little peek, it actually sounds quite good. The first major change is the mechanics of stats themselves. The stats effect will no longer be tiered every 10 points. Every point in a stat will provide a benefit. This change is intended to reduce the lock-in effect that happens when a fine-tuned combination of stat values makes it feel impossible to switch out any single armor piece. So the stat effects will be capped at 200, with the range of 101 to 200 providing additional powerful effect on the base effect. This change is intended to support deeper investment into smaller number stats and spikier stat distribution on armor with fewer secondary dump stats. So if you don't know how armor works, just to keep it right here as an example, pretty much it initially only went to 1 to 100 right here, and that would provide all the cooldown reduction. Now it is going to make it so that dump stats are less worth it. You can see right here, the spike is in discipline and strength. That is essentially what they were focusing on for the stat. The dump stat would be recovery or mobility, or maybe even resilience, since it's not the high one. It's essentially whatever stats they don't essentially want or aren't looking for. So with that, the dump stat hopefully will be less of a concern, because a lot of times the dump stat is just pointless. You don't need it anyway. So hopefully we can have more on that. In addition, basically they tell us right here, armor stats is going to be expanded all the way to 200, with 100, or I'm assuming 1 to 100 being the cooldown reduction, and 101 to 200 basically giving you a benefit. The legendary armor will have a stat archetype in the future, which determines the primary and secondary tap stats, with a third stat being a free roll. The value of these stats can be spikier, leading to fewer points in dump stats, aka the higher, or the spikier will be the things you are looking for, the dump stats be the things you are particularly not looking for. The class slot, aka the marks and class items, will have full stat distributions on par with the other slots. So we can see an example right here. You have an archetype. In this case, it is Brawler. So your primary stat, the thing you'll get the most out of, is Strength or Resilience. Wait, is that the same thing? Wait, they have the similar feature. Okay, so the primary stat will be, I'm assuming, Resilience and Strength. The secondary stat will be Intellect and Discipline, and the tertiary stat being Recovery and Intellect. But basically, the priority of which stats you want. And with the archetype, it makes it so that hunting things will be easier. The result will be a small number of unique stats on any piece of armor, with large contributions to these stats, every stat providing a benefit. These changes should ultimately make every piece of armor more interesting and easier to evaluate, which they are quite correct in that outcome. I know there's many times that I would equip a piece of armor, it, even with the benefits, doesn't reach a certain stat level or even cross the 100 mark, or I should say the 10 mark, and at that point it was pretty much pointless to me, so I would get rid of it. Now, new stats. Some stats will be changing with 3 goals in mind. Improve specific weak stats that offer little value, reduce or eliminate mandatory must-have stats, and overall improve understandability of stats and their effects. So, Discipline. From 1 to 100 provides increasing grenade cooldown reduction, and from that point onward, it gets a increased chance to gain a bonus grenade charge whenever your grenade becomes available. Stat renamed to grenade to improve readability. Interesting. For strength, again, usual cooldown reduction, and past 100, it provides an increasing chance to gain a bonus melee charge whenever your powered melee becomes available. And for special ammo, which is a stat, from 0 to 100, increase the rate at which special ammo drops, and from 100 onward, provides an increasing chance that a double-sized brick will drop. I didn't realize special ammo was a stat, although I guess this is just some teasers and examples going forward. Now, set bonuses. They already elaborated some things, and it sounds really good. Right now, set bonuses are going to be limited to either 2 pieces or 4 pieces bonuses, to make it so that you don't have to forego an exotic, which is quite a good detail. Now, they give some examples here, a variety of sets that I will just let you read in its own, because, of course, I imagine these are teases and we'll find more, but, of course, you have a benefit from 2 pieces and a better benefit from 4. You don't need to have 4, and you can mix and match different 2 ranks if you so wish, and, of course, keep the exotic as they mentioned. But then, the facts. What is happening to old armor? The old legendary armor would change as little as possible, but because of the change to stat mechanics and types of global changes, old armor pieces will have their stat types, but not their values changed around. When possible, these changes will be most similar stat, but some stats being fundamentally reworked, this won't always be possible. So, you will have some armor you may have to regrind for, but hopefully it will be a little bit easier to find replacements. Now, exotic armor. Updating the exotic armor pursuit is on our roadmap but won't be a part of the initial update that is focusing on legendary armor. So, to make sure that exotics and their build-defining perks remain a compelling option, we are working out a design that will allow players to update their exotic armor to bring their stat bonuses in line with the changes to legendary. The exotic class items introduced in Final Shape are a special case. Even though legendary class items will be gaining full random stats with this update, we don't wish to add additional randomness to the exotic item chase. Instead, we'll be providing a method for players to update their existing exotic class items to the additional stats of their choosing to bring them in line with stat distribution of legendary armor. For details on the larger part of the planet, exotic armors as we nail them down. Now, the vault is full. Where am I supposed to store all this new armor? We know that vault pressure is a real problem for many players, even with the recent increase in vault space. Outside of adding more space and option, real solutions that enable long-term storage of more desirable roles are really hard problems. But these are the problems we're penciling into our roadmap at or around next year's second expansion, codenamed Behemoth. We'll share more details and have a clearer redirection for how we think we can solve this one. So, honestly, an idea I think I have right now is keeping a template. Let's just say that it might not be the same difference in idea, but you can save let's just say a picture or a loadout or a gunsmith. Let's just say that we have a gunsmith and armor template that has a exact stat distribution that you have on a piece of individual armor. You keep that in a library. You want to pull it back down, you pull it out of the library and put it into the vault, make it a physical thing. That may just be a crackpot theory of in-game, but moving on, regardless, it sounds pretty positive in the light, because I won't lie, I think I've had the same armor for 3 years and never changed it, and anytime I get new armor, I try it and I look at it, it doesn't create the same results, so I get rid of it. And so I do definitely agree with what they're saying. Armor stats is kind of pointless if you're not getting, the perfect one, you're not going to use any of it. So it sounds like a overall good benefit. The only thing that I'm slightly concerned about is ages ago they made the update so that resilience actually gives you a damage reduction to make it worth it, but now it sounds like they're possibly nerfing resilience again, because of all of them, resilience is probably the most useful. Again, everything else gives you cooldown reduction, but resilience is just you last longer in a fight, period. So with that, I am a little bit concerned that resilience is going to be nerfed, but they've touched it a few times since it's buffed, so here's just hoping it's not touched at all. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon, and I will see you in the next video.